Welcome to the American Business Podcast. I'm Kevin Deveci, your host. I'm welcoming you episode 127. We are in season 5 in the American Business Podcast. The American Business Podcast is the voice of American business. Today's number 5.4 billion. There are 5.4 billion social media users in the world. And quote of the day, as you know, we have a great partnership with missionstatements.com. And today's quote is, by failing to prepare, you are preparing to fail. Great. Well, we have a special guest today. Before we get started, a couple of announcements. Well, as you know, in the American Business Podcast, we did something first in the business podcast category. And now the American Business Podcast comes in 6 different international podcast editions: ABP Espanol, ABP German, ABP French, ABP Hindi, ABP Portuguese, and ABP Turk. So all these language podcasts are available in the American Business Podcast YouTube channel. When you go to the podcast section within the American Business Podcast YouTube channel, you'll see ABP Espanol, German, French, Hindi, Portuguese, and Turk. We start building them piece by piece, one by one, and you'll be able to listen and watch the American Business Podcast episodes in different languages. So I'm happy to announce this to you, and we are working on it to put more multi-language episodes to support our multi-national expansion as the American Business Podcast grows with your help and support. And as you know, a couple of weeks ago, we started business podcasting as a service. Now, businesses, companies can have their branded podcast within the American Business Podcast Network. So we are looking forward to having your organization starting your business podcast within the American Business Podcast Network. If you are interested, you can send us an email, paas@americanpodcast.tv. And as soon as you start your business podcast, you'll have instant visibility in the American Business Podcast in front of thousands of the American Business Podcast subscribers, followers, and the community. Okay, great. Well, let's invite our guests to our virtual stage and let's get the conversation started. Hello, Bill. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me, Kevin.
Pleasure is all mine. I'm glad that you join us today in your busy schedule. It's very nice to meet you in the
Same
American
here.
Business Podcast. How was your weekend?
My weekend was relatively quiet, even though I'm in a city where there's a lot of action going on in just outside the Twin Cities. But where I am, it's very quiet. And that was my weekend.
That's good. That's good to hear. Well, we have a lot to cover and we love to learn from you. You have decades of professional experience. And let's get the conversation started if that's okay. Well, appreciate it. As a start, how was 2025 for you? Any reflection on 2025 and any expectations, predictions for the new year?
Sure. So 2025 was an interesting year. I did publish my second book.
Congratulations.
We'll talk a little bit about what every CEO must know. I study CEOs, so I read about them, I write about them, I read a lot of books. So I love leadership, technology. 25 was a huge year for both of those things because of AI in the technology world. And I myself even started in the last quarter of the year, did a startup with my life and business partner now on voice AI. So I have a chance to practice a lot of what I preach.
That's exciting. Yes, absolutely. And especially in this age of AI, it just makes sense to start a business in AI and love to learn more about your new organization.
Sure thing.
Well, would you like to introduce yourself and your organization to our audience and to our listeners?
Absolutely. So my name is Bill Miller. I've been in the technology world since the 60s. I've gone through every computing platform, kind of on the leading edge. I started as a software engineer. systems engineer in real time systems. Moved into the marketing and sales part of the world while I was, in the same company that I was a software engineer. And then over the years, I became an executive. In the 80s, had my first director role in a very large company. And then I moved from director to VP over many years and became CXO back in the mid 2000, 2011, 2010, 2011 timeframe. And I've done a couple of startups and I've worked in large multi-billion dollar corporations. And I write about those experiences in my two books. So I have a lot of experience in bringing new technology to market. And one more thing about AI is, I was involved in the launch of Ethernet with two different companies. I was involved in the launch of a lot of different networking technologies. AI is the fastest growing, uh, most attention getting hype curve that I have ever experienced. Jumping in to do a startup in that in this past, actually we started in the late summer, but we didn't really form the company until the last quarter. So it's really kind of interesting to see what's going on.
How about your career journey? How did you get started? How your career journey has unfolded over the years?
Man, I got into technology in the seventh grade. Think about this, in the 70s. I'm sorry, in the 60s, when there was computers were like nobody really thought much about them.
Hmm.
And in seventh grade, I built an analog computer for my science project, which was really nothing more than a scale. A scale where you used to, where you put groceries,
Hmm.
produce into this. That's an analog computer
Hmm.
that measures, just reads out now in digital. Back those days, it didn't. But that was my first foray into computers and technology. And then when I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life, couldn't figure it out. My sister, who is very different than me and 5 years older, she said, "You should be in the computer industry, whatever that means." And so I said, "Well, I don't know what else I want to do, so why don't I do that?" So I got my first job uh, in the back half of the 60s at Honeywell Computer, and I moved on from there. And I just kept going and learning and learning. And I was always a junior jump up in those early days, and
Hmm.
my early 20s, and thought I knew everything about everything, but didn't, of course. Uh, and I'm a sports nut, so the companies that I work for, I always was involved because I come from the New England, from the Boston area, Massachusetts, a hardcore Boston everything fan. Of course, our team Patriots won last night, which is a big thing for us. But anyway, I've always combined sports and technology and leadership in my world. And when I was a kid, I thought I would be a statistician, but that was too boring.
Hmm.
So I became a programmer instead. And so I started as a junior programmer to product manager to director of product management and marketing, and then I moved up the ranks to VP, et cetera. And so I just love bringing new products to market. Uh, at the last count, not including anything new here, I've brought to market well over 200 products that have generated billions of dollars in revenues from uh, the networking world, both local area networks and wide area networks. Uh, but my love over the years became leadership. And I studied my bosses, I studied the CEOs of companies. I always made it, maybe it was a bad thing in some cases because the strength sometimes is a weakness by speaking up too much sometimes. But I had no problem just going and asking a CEO questions, even if it was two
Hmm.
or three levels above me. And it did get me in trouble on occasion because some of my bosses thought I was going around them, but I wasn't. I was just learning.
Hmm.
And so it's interesting. You have to be careful if you want to do that yourself, but that's how you learn. And so I've learned and studied CEOs for years. Now I help them. Even when I was a VP or a COO, which I've been, you're you might be number two or number three in command at the company, and you have to really build trust with the CEO. And so you learn how to do that. And so it's interesting. My biggest strengths and my biggest weaknesses, I learned myself over all those years. And a lot of the mini frameworks that you'll find in my new book, I didn't have frameworks in my first book. The second book is full of frameworks. And there are many frameworks that I used or the CEOs I worked with over the years used. And then you start to apply them yourselves. And so a lot of the frameworks in the book are mine. It's, a lot of people write a book and the whole book is one framework. My life does not revolve around one framework because it can't.
Mm-hmm.
When you're a leader and you own everything, and that's the thing people forget about CEOs, they own everything from how clean the building or the offices are, what type of software or hardware is purchased for the company, what type of services are brought in, what the culture of the company is. You name it, they own it. They have to have their own way to deal with that. And so that's what's important to me, try to help people. And that's what I've done over the years. So I hope that.
Well, I think this is also a great moment to talk about your books a little bit, if that's okay. So you published
whatever, sure.
2 books, if I'm not mistaken. So I
Yep.
had the pleasure of having one of them, right? What Every CEO Must Know
Yep.
is also.
So
I
here's
have
the
it.
2
Okay.
books. They
All right.
kind of look similar, but this is the first one.
Mhm.
I won 2 awards for the Rookie CEO, where I worked with the 9 first-time CEOs in a row. And there's a lot to learn from them. And then this is the new one. Got to get it in front of the camera.
Yes.
And this one has already won 1 award. So now I'm a 3-time award winner,
Congratulations.
which is great. Thank you. And what it tells me is that, to win an award so early, I just launched the book in October, the end of October 26th. A lot of people, I guess I hit the target market that I wanted to hit. And the first reviews of the book from people that I don't know tell me that I hit the mark on helping to educate people to shorten their acceleration rate. It's really written for first-time CEOs and founders. And today, especially in the AI world, where you can build a new software company in a weekend, even though it's not, to me, a traditional product that I would be used to, and it would just be a SaaS or something like that, or have one very specific function. And I'm sure you're aware of that because you have a background in this area as well. But all of a sudden, you're a CEO. You have to hire contractors, even if you don't hire employees, which is what I do with my Beeline Bill Enterprises, which is the company I formed in 2011. I hire contractors for anything I need that are not expertise that I have, or somebody's better. There's always somebody better at something than we are. So that's kind of how that works. And then, I formed a publishing company for those 2 books, Beeline Bill Publishing. You'll see that Beeline Bill is my brand. So if you were to do a search on Beeline Bill, you would find, everything from, there might be some other companies that use that, but you'll find a lot of my social channels and blog posts and various other things that I've written over the years. So that's some of the stuff that I've done. But I formed those companies, and the third one is Beeline Bill Consulting. And then most recently, a company called Zaboom with 3 O's, Zaboom LLC, and that's for the voice AI. So our first pilots were with insurance companies doing inbound and outbound calling.
Okay.
And we've learned a lot about, in the last several months, we've learned a lot about where AI actually fits and where humans fit. And certainly today, because a lot of people argue that you're going to replace humans, but what we do is we make humans more efficient. So that's kind of the approach that we've been taking. We don't eliminate them, we make them more efficient.
That's a great point. So we'll dive deeper into AI, but before that, I like to learn about your take about on the technology industry. How do you see the technology industry in general, especially for technology for business? I must say, what are the opportunities and
Okay,
changes?
so there's a lot of stuff going on with layoffs, and a lot of companies have announced layoffs and saying that AI is the reason that there's layoffs. There's probably some of that. I think some of those people will be brought back
Mhm.
because the automation of the AI, and that's where AI is being applied to automation. Uh, you can replace low level and mediocre people with in repeatable tasks. But people have probably heard the term agentic AI. When you create an agent to do very specific functions, you still have to manage those agents. So if so now people who are leaders, managers, leaders, you have to have some technical capability or certainly a lot of logical capability to be able to identify uh, if something goes wrong, where is that problem? Is it in
Mhm.
the logic flow? Is it in the automation? In the early days of programming, we used to do flowcharts. I
Yes,
still have some of those plastic flowchart things
yes.
in one of my drawers behind me here in my office. And you can kind of see my office a little bit, but you know, my books and all that sort of stuff. But
Mhm.
I'm a not quite a pack rat, but I do save a lot of stuff. So in those
Okay.
days of flow charting, you still have to do that today. If people are using things like N8N or Make for automation and AI,
Mhm.
you're doing the same thing. They're logic blocks. Their
Logic is the
decisions.
same. Yes.
It doesn't change. It's
Yes.
yes, no, in, out.
If
It's the
or if
same.
rate it goes down. Yes.
It
Yes.
doesn't change. And the more complex it gets, the harder it is to manage those agentics, those
Mhm.
agents.
It
And
is actually
really,
interesting you mentioned that. I was talking to a friend of mine. So I took coding classes way before. Once I was going to elementary school. It was early for my generation, and then also back in the time in my college years. And exactly just like you mentioned, before we did coding with COBOL or Pascal or C or whatever
mhm,
available at that time, we started with that chart, right? So algorithm, right?
that's right.
Syntax. So we start with that planning first, and then first we spend an hour or so just to design how the machine will behave, and then code on top of it. Just the coding follows that planning.
Mhm,
But I mean, just like you said, it never change. Everything starts with that planning, and then we put the AI agents, and we set
right.
them up in a way.
And what's happening today is people are learning how to do these agents themselves in different ways. If you go on LinkedIn, there's a lot of people who give away free templates, and then they try to sell you a course to teach you how to do this stuff. And there's a lot of communities you can join. Some are free, some are paid. You can learn how to do this stuff, but I can guarantee uh, the listeners here, until you do it, you don't know how to do it. And then until you start to manage multiple agents, you you just have no clue. So one of the one of the loudest people about this on LinkedIn that I follow is Jason Lemkin. Jason Lemkin is runs SaaStr, and he does a great job at talking about both hiring and AI and how he's replaced people with agents. He's always run lean anyway in his company. But what's really interesting is that he has a platform on LinkedIn where you can find almost answers to almost anything you want if you're a leader. So it's a great place to go. You got Jason, you got Adam Robinson, and there's a few other people that share a lot of stuff. But these experts, you got to be careful. Some of them are good, and some of them are just a piece. But learning how to do it, just do it. And that would be my advice to anybody today who wants to be in the technology world. If you don't learn it, forget a job in technology. You have to understand it. You have to know how to apply it. You have to be able to look at business process, and you have to know the business process and know where to automate and where the human goes, because the repetitive stuff is greatly done by AI, but you still need a human brain to make the
Yes.
decision. You just
Yes,
have,
yeah.
and when we cross to that, because there's a lot of AIs that are doing some sort of reasoning now, and you can read about it all the time, but they still can't reason like a human because there's no real emotion. The only emotion an AI has is what you feed it. It has your emotion. Like if you get mad about something, it'll know that you get mad about something. So you can use AI to code, you can use AI to automate, you can use AI to, I mean, I have my own GPTs that help me uh, remember things that I actually wrote about. And it can go and gather everything that I've ever written and tell me, oh yeah, you wrote this
Nice.
back. It helps me a little bit.
Hmm.
Keep I might remember it, but I don't remember exactly where it is, or it can find you a lot of that stuff. But you still need a human to put it together with it with the emotion. And to me, leadership, especially at the senior level, is all about decision making.
Hmm.
So being able to have a process for decision making, I mean, let's back to flowcharts and logic. You're making a decision. Do I go here? Do I go there? Do I turn it on? Do I turn it off? Is there a race condition? Because there's three things fighting for the same piece of information. Eh, It's no different than a CEO making a decision. You know, how do you make a decision when you don't have a full deck of cards, right?
Hmm.
So think about an eight deck blackjack game where you're trying to decide what's the next card that's coming. Is it an ace or a picture card for a
Hmm.
blackjack, right? It's in a decision tree is just as complex. So you never really know the answer, but you have to take everything into account and then make that decision. So that's kind of the approach that I try to take with people is you really need to understand uh, a lot of things with these processes, and those are the frameworks I put in the book to help people along.
Since we talk about AI, well, I have one question. What is one job or couple of jobs AI cannot replace in the future?
Okay, so the first one is CEO. I've read people's opinions
Hmm.
on LinkedIn or Substack or someplace, various places, that think that we're not that far from AI replacing a CEO. I don't agree with that because there's too much.
Yes.
And even 5 years from now, I don't think AI is going to be where it needs to be able to have the emotion and the logic and understanding of the competitive market. It can gather all the information, but to make the decision, I don't think it's going to be capable. So we're going to have our CEOs and some people on their leadership team, depending on the size of the company. So that's number one. The second one is the hardcore sales closer. I am in complex technology world sales, or it doesn't even need to be technology world. Our pilots, two of our pilots are with insurance companies. We can do the automated calling, both inbound and outbound, but you
Hmm.
need a licensed agent to close the deal.
Mm.
The AI voices and callers gathering all the information, fantastic. And it does
Okay.
it fast and it weeds out all the voicemails and do not calls and I'm not interested and everything, wrong numbers, whatever it is, it weeds all that stuff out really fast without humans being rejected. But then when you get the person who wants to talk to you, it goes right to an agent. Boom. And all the information's been collected. That's a
Mm.
perfect application. So you still need the salesperson. Now, there are some consumer oriented products that you can sell and close the deal with AI. But the true, like today, a lot of people have replaced in the technology world SDRs, sales development reps, or business development reps. They've replaced them with AI because they have access to the knowledge base, they have access to the price book, they have access to everything and can remember it all where people don't always remember it all because they're not always senior people. But when it gets to be complex, like building data centers, building sports arenas, big real estate, all of these kinds of things still require having a human close those deals because there's so many pieces and there's so much emotion around it. So I do believe that the CEO and the closing sales reps, those people are going to be around for a long time to come.
Well, based on your experience in business, how to survive crisis and uncertainty in business?
So I have methodologies that I've applied in the past. Um, there are PR firms that specialize in crisis management. Uh, in crisis, the first thing you got to do is collect information and calm people down. One of the most biggest superpowers of a leader, I don't care if you're the CEO, the board of directors, doesn't matter who you are, if you're a leader, you need to be able to stay calm under crisis, even if it's huge and impacts you and you have to do split second decisions. You still have to have a calmness in these crisis moments to collect all the information as much as you can get, ask a lot of questions, and then break everything into the smaller tasks. So you got the big picture, and then you address then you prioritize, and then you address things. It's really something that you could read the fundamentals about in Sun Tzu books and in any books on war. There's marketing warfare and various books like that that when
Hmm.
I ran marketing, I used to give to my, to anyone who came to work for me. You
Hmm.
got to read this book, Marketing Warfare. I think I have a couple of different versions of it
Yeah,
behind me here.
L Rice's book. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
a
they're
pretty good
great
book. Yeah.
books, but it gives you the foundation.
Mm.
You really need to be able to know this stuff in a corporate type of crisis. And today, we have these things going on around the world, the global economy, the global uh, war, wars that are going on, the global fight for whatever it is, wherever you are in different parts of the world, and corporate and competitiveness. Everybody goes after NVIDIA for AI chips, but who's going to really beat them? I mean, someday somebody might when they take the next level of change, but and then NVIDIA will go into a crisis mode. How do we fight that? We've seen it in the chip world. We've seen it in the networking world. We're going to see it in the AI world. Look at the competition in the AI world. So you got to break it down. You got to see the big picture, then break it down into small pieces, and then attack it by priority. But first and foremost, you got to remain calm and ask a lot of questions. That's kind of my highest level of that.
Well, we also touch briefly about marketing. What are the best marketing practices nowadays that bring the highest ROI?
Okay, so many years of marketing and product management here speaking, probably 30 years. Um, AI is a critical element of marketing today. You have to be able to understand where to automate and where not to automate because your messaging still matters. Messaging is at the top. Uh, what is the message that your company, your product brings to the market? And then to get a higher ROI, you need to automate what is automatable and make sure that you have the right humans in the right place at the right time to increase any ROI. But there are ways to increase ROI faster because of AI, even in its early days here. We're just over 3 years into Gen AI. We're about a year into agentic, year and a half, maybe 2 years into agentic AI. It's just going to continue to explode because every day there are new solutions. And so it takes time and energy to learn all these new solutions. So I think every marketing department needs to have almost an advanced research kind of, whether it's an individual, if it's a smaller company, or a team, if it's a larger company, just like you used to do advanced research for big technology hardware companies, always knowing what your competitors are doing. The mainframe companies used to know what each others were doing, and they could do announcements within days of each other. The same thing with the mini computer company, then the PC companies. Now it's AI companies. you've you've got to understand what everybody's doing so that you can, table stakes are addressed, and that you have to have that. They're check boxes, but then you have to have your differentiator, and you have to be able to, and your differentiator has to be ROI related. Faster, not necessarily cheaper, faster, more efficient, because that actually adds up to higher ROI.
I like to talk about leadership a little bit, which you touched earlier.
Sure.
Work with CEOs, and you also had the book, right? So what every CEO must know. So you have deep knowledge and observation and insight about leadership. So how would you
Right.
define leadership, and what are the great leadership qualities a good leader must have?
So, so to me, there's a lot of things that a leader really needs to have, but I think the leader needs to understand decision process. So, so I've written about this in blogs. I read about it in the book. Every human has an automatic decision process built into their brain. They've developed it over their life. You have it, I have it. You look at something, you say yes, no, maybe, whatever. And if you need to do more decisioning, and you have to ask more questions, you have to you have to get to the bottom of something. Some CEOs, leaders, delay those decisions. And by delaying those decisions and not having a good process, you can destroy a company. So I consider that a blind spot. Delaying decisions, it doesn't matter how charismatic you are, it doesn't matter how smart and intelligent you are, it doesn't matter the culture you built in your company. What matters is you need a process for decision making that goes beyond your personal automatic decision making. And that's critical. And and I think that's number one, leadership. And then you got to train your team to do exactly the same thing. Because part of your job as a leader is to develop the people under you. So teaching your team, whether it's one, two, or 10 people, how you make your decisions, why you make your decisions with clarity, and you build a decision for resilience, and you execute that is your power. That's where I come up with, I use confidence and power in the subtitle, but my next book is going to be more about the four dimensions, which are confidence, clarity, because you got to have clarity in your decision making and messaging. You got to have resilience because it's got to withstand whatever happens. And you got to do it with power. Now, power is built on those first three things: confidence, clarity, and resilience. So that kind of gives, you want people to follow you, people to believe in you. Those are the things that to me are leadership. It's not about touchy feely stuff. It's not about charisma and being a good speaker. It's not about stuff that just doesn't matter. You know the five why questions that kids ask?
Yes.
And the kids ask you a question, well, how come this? Why? Why, Dad? And then you answer, and then the kid goes on to ask the why five times before he finally gets really understands what you're saying, because you don't even know the answer. You have to make it up. I have two kids. They're older now, but that's what it was like. It's really no different in business. If you make a decision and your team doesn't understand why, and your employees don't understand why, they're not going to get behind you in the culture, and it's going to fail. But if you share, you explain your why, explain people how you got to that decision, what your process is, and then you encourage your team to have their process and process everything through their process, that aligns with your, because alignment is critical there too, aligns with yours, then you can get everybody marching to the same goal and highest ROIs. So that's kind of how I look at leadership. And there's one element there that I did not include because of those four things, and that is negotiation. Every day, when a leader, especially a CEO, but any leader, wakes up and they go through their routine every day, you're going to have several decisions, but you're also going to have several negotiations. And those negotiations can be with your spouse, with your kids, with your boss, with your customers. So there's a chapter in the book that talks about that negotiation muscle that you have to build in a routine manner. So those are the biggest things to me is your decision process, your ability to get your team aligned around that, your decision process, the why, with confidence, clarity, and resilience, and then you'll get your power out of that. That's how you become powerful CEO, a powerful leader.
Have you had any role models, any mentors who help you shape your career
I
journey over the
did.
years?
Well, there was a couple. Um, Obviously, my father was a role model for me because my father had he was a store owner. My grandfather owned a beer, wine, and grocery store in the old days before Cumberland Farms and 7-Elevens and convenience stores and supermarkets even. And so he ran a neighborhood store. And a lot of the older people back then, and this is way long time ago in the 50s and 60s, but um, these people lived on disability checks and, you know, not unemployment checks, but social security checks and various other things. And they didn't have the money. So he always helped people by allowing them to charge. And he kept track of all this stuff on cigarette carton cardboards that he used to sell at the store. So, and then as a kid, I used to fill the shelves and go with him to the markets when I wasn't in school and stuff like that. So I learned about the business and how to run the business and all that sort of stuff. But his generosity of giving and helping people in a time of need, those people always came in on the first of the month and paid him. So the first thing was learn about generosity and helping people. That's number one. Professionally, way back when in the I think it was around 1981 or two. I was a company called the Foxborough Company, which is in Betsas now. Uh, and I had moved into the sales and marketing organization. I had a mentor. He's the one that recruited me out of the engineering team when I was a software engineer. And basically, he just taught me how to attack things that are way bigger than you ever thought you could. He helped me learn how to not be intimidated by things that just look unachievable. The first one was our company was asked to do a presentation at Colorado School of the Mines and Robert Morris College, two places that specialize in certain things. Uh, and I was just a junior guy at the time, really. And he basically said, "You're going to do this presentation because the person who does it every year is sick this year, and they need someone to do those two presentations." The crowd were 3,000 plus people, and they were a lot of senior
Wow.
people and a lot of
Yes.
students. So the combination of students and senior alumni who
Mixed
were
audience. Uh-huh.
and and let me tell you, I was so intimidated. And this is before slides, before PowerPoint was big. So we had to use foils. Remember those? The little
Okay.
transparent
Yes.
transparencies people call them. So
Yes.
in this audience of 3,000 or so, in a big auditorium and a giant screen where the transparency went to, I had to learn how to do this and present in a topic that I was not the expert in. So I had to develop a methodology to do it. So how did I do? Because of my mentors' suggestions, I had about 70% of the people said this was a great presentation because they all had to fill in a form before they left the
Okay.
room. And the other 30% said this is the worst presentation I've ever seen here.
Hmm.
So 70-30. So I said, okay, for the first time I ever did something like this, my mentor, whose name was Dave Wall, Woll, he's retired now, but he he's the one who prepared me to go after these big things and not be intimidated. Not ever, no matter how big it is. And that helped me all the years of once I became a product manager of launching products into the world, into the biggest, uh, using PR firms and meeting with press and analysts and being in Las Vegas at the big events, uh, and then going around the world to some places like this in Europe and in Asia. And I used to go and do those as well. But I never let any of it intimidate me. Didn't matter if I didn't know the language. I had interpreters. You learn how to work with them. None of it, none of it just bothered me. And so I I just said, okay, just break them all into small pieces, prepare, and you try to understand the audience. Okay, this part of the audience wants this. This part of the audience wants this. This part of the audience wants this. And you try to make sure everybody gets a piece. And that's how I was able to do the first one with those two presentations. And then in my career, launching big products on the big stages with big companies, with billion-dollar companies. I also did it with startups, but
Hmm.
uh, and then you try to get the recognition. The recognition used to be in column inches when it was the press and the tabloids. Now it's internet inches, stories, mentions, and even today it's being found by AI. So you can type into AI, and I try to train the AIs on Beeline Bill.
Hmm.
So they don't all know me, but most of them you can find something about me. So I try to train them about me a little bit. But those are the mentors. My father was the first one with a certain aspect, and then Dave Wall on the second aspect, which really lived with me right through today. I still do the same thing today. I try to stay calm in the most difficult positions. It's not easy sometimes, and you just do it.
If if you had a chance to go back history, personally or historically, to what time period would you like to go back and why?
Personally, I'm a 70s guy, 60s and 70s. I love the Beatles, the Rolling Stones. Uh, I love the music back then. I was young. I didn't care about a lot of things. I was chasing women all the time. Uh, I could travel wherever I wanted to. I did a lot of things, 60s and 70s. Uh, yeah, so it started to change for me, I think, in the late 70s and 80s. Things started to be a little bit different for me, but uh, yeah, I'd probably say 60s and 70s.
Is there a book, a movie, a show that helped you shape your career perspective over the years?
So the book that shaped me the most is Crossing the Chasm by Jeffrey Moore. Jeffrey Moore was a McKinsey analyst, wrote a book, and the book talked about the phases in the life cycle of products, where you get the early adopters, then there's a chasm that it has to cross till you start to get the followers and even the late adopters. There's like 5 cycles. He launched that book in '91, and a good friend of mine who is a business partner actually, he was a customer who turned partner. He worked at Silicon Graphics. I was at a small company in New Jersey, Southern Jersey, and he introduced me to Jeffrey Moore's book. He knew Jeffrey personally, and he said, "Use this in job hunting." So I applied this product launch concept, which is became my product management Bible. So like I gave the marketing warfare to all my marketing team, but I gave crossing the chasm to all my product managers, of which I trained many over the years. and that became my Bible. I have three different versions of it here, and every one of them has highlights still in it. Because I used to highlight it and used to make comments. Oh, this is
Taking notes,
unbelievable.
yes.
And you know, by the way, Amazon just introducing this kind of stuff on the new Kindles, where
Nice.
you can highlight and you can ask questions that AI answers about the thing.
Wow.
That's a brand new thing in
Next,
Kindle
yeah,
ebooks.
next generation. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but I was a highlighter. I never sold books that I bought. I have a complete closet back here with bookshelves filled with filled with books. I love to read books. I buy a lot of books now. You know, the lot of self-published authors. We do cohorts together. We buy each other's book when they go on sale for 99 cents. Read it and review it. It helps. It helps the authors. You just
Mhm,
give an honest review. The key is to give an honest review because reviews are
mhm,
so important to every author. So, I mean, I felt when I got my first one-star review for my first book, it was a badge of honor because you don't write a book for everybody. You write a book for a certain audience. When the wrong
mhm,
audience buys it and reads it, they don't like it, and that's okay. So
mhm.
far on my new book, I have all five-star reviews except for one, which is a four-star. So I'm pretty happy with that. And the reviews are in depth. It's pretty good, actually. So that's that's kind of my view there. But yeah,
That's great.
so
Well, what is the best business career advice that you ever received, and what is the worst one that you ever received?
okay. So the best career advice goes back to Dave, where he said, "There's no project too big. Just take a look at it, break it down into small pieces, prioritize the pieces, and go for it. That's simple." So, by the way, you need to learn how to prioritize, which is also in my book for a leader. There's some
Hmm.
steps to take, kind of mini frameworks on how you can prioritize, because not everybody prioritizes the same way. So,
True. Yes, that's a great
but
point.
but yeah, so that piece of advice is the best piece of advice I've ever gotten. The worst piece of advice I've ever gotten was speak up loudly to be heard, because the higher up the chain you go, the louder you are, the more trouble you get into. You have to you can still have your opinions, but you got to frame them and present them differently with value, risks and value. So go to this, like when I was second or third in command, go up to your CEO and say, okay, this is what I think we should be considering. Here's why.
Hmm.
Here's the risks versus what you're thinking of doing, rather than saying, what you're doing is wrong, dude. It's like I, I have had advice from people that were very senior and on boards of directors that said, be yourself, be bold. I think that you can do that without being too loud and do it in the right
Hmm.
way. I think that was the worst piece of advice I've ever gotten.
Do you have any career advice for next generation business professionals?
Absolutely. Learn AI inside and out. Now, you don't need to know how all the LLMs work unless you're a technical guy who's working on the different aspects of LLMs and RAG and all these other things, part of AI. You you need on the business side, you said business professionals. So business professionals need to learn how to apply it, where to apply it, and need to play with it. Just play with it. You know, I interview CEOs for the Cloud Voice Alliance in a live webinar series like this called the CEO Success Story. And it's not on a specific schedule, but it's on my YouTube channel. I record everything and pretty much raw. And one of the questions I asked each one of them, and I started this about 3 or 4 years ago, was, "What are you doing about AI? Are you doing anything in your office?" And most of these people are managed service providers and voice providers or networking providers, and they resell all kinds of different people's products, and they have, most of them have regional customer bases, but they all have branch offices, so it covers the U.S. mostly, and sometimes an international office. But I would ask them, "What are you doing about AI?" And I used to ask them a question about LinkedIn too, but a lot of them didn't have an answer. I said, "You better get started." I said, "Find the one person in your 6 to 10 person office, because they're small company CEOs.
Mhm.
Find somebody who is interested, give them 10 to 15% time and a few dollars to go and learn this stuff, how they can help your business process." And now we got a couple of them that have come back and said, "Am I glad you said that to me?" Because I never even thought of doing it. Now I have people doing it. So
Amazing.
that's one of the things that makes me really feel good that I impacted somebody. And that's how I feel about my books. If I can impact one life from the book I write, I
Mhm.
know that I've been successful. I still have a client, a CEO client from the first book, from the Leave Net Magnet from 2021, that he signed up with me in 2022. We're still going strong. So a couple of calls a month, and it works really well. So uh, I I believe that being able to help and impact people is really really important. But you better know AI.
Yep, yep, and especially in this age, it's
Yep.
a must. Um, is there a question that you had expected me to ask you, but I didn't ask you?
I thought you might ask, what's my you know, favorite framework or chapter, secret from the book or anything like that. You didn't
Yes,
ask
let's
me
dive.
anything.
Yes, let's talk about it. So, what is your favorite part of the book? Any
So
information
this,
that you like to share with the viewers?
yes. So there's no one favorite. I talked about the decision making process already.
Hmm.
There's more than one chapter on decision making, but they're really good with great mini frameworks. But there is one chapter that covers what I implemented in my career way before I was the senior leader. And that is every Friday, I use Friday as an administration day. I got caught up on emails. I got caught up on voicemails. I got caught up on my one on ones with people that work for me or my own one on ones with my boss. I tried to always make administrative work on Friday. And about 30 years ago, I changed that to what I called the mirror meeting with myself. 15, 20 minutes. You sit down, close your door if you have an office, go to the bathroom, whatever it is. You need privacy. Go to your car, but take 15 to 20 minutes every Friday or whatever day works for you, Sunday night for some people,
Hmm.
and write down, let's take a look at this past week. What decisions did I put off? What should I really be doing today that I'm not doing? What can I drop off the list because it's really irrelevant at the end of the day? It doesn't matter what happens here. Is there any of my direct reports that I need to talk to because they're not doing the job? Because every day that you don't do that, make the decision, take the action, you're hurting yourself and that person and the company. If it's a decision for the company, don't fricking delay it. And there's a lot of examples in the book on that. There's one particular chapter completely about delaying decisions that a CEO made. So there's in this new book, there's about 20 CEOs that are specifically identified by name, company. They signed a waiver to be part of this, evergreen world,
Yes.
sharing their biggest mistake, how they could have avoided it, how they recovered from it, and how they move forward. That's the contour of the book. And it's really great for first time CEOs, founders, and even stuck CEOs or any leader. In fact, some of the reviews say this is for any leader, not just CEOs, but it really will help you accelerate your path. And to me, this mirror meeting is one of the biggest things that I've never read about it specifically the same way, although other people do talk about reflection because it is a reflection meeting, but it's only you. Nobody else can come to this meeting. It's just you. So you reflect on the past week and what
Hmm.
you should have done, what you're delaying, and what you're going to do first thing Monday morning. And you've got to do it because if you don't, you just keep delaying it and you just hurt yourself and the other people that are involved. So that mirror section is the one to me, and it's really buried inside another chapter, but it's really really important. And I do think the one
Hmm.
thing about my new book, there's 37 chapters. Each chapter is a specific story, so it's
Hmm.
not like a novel that you have to read it and follow the characters all the way. It's not like that. Each
Hmm.
chapter is separate, although they might refer to each other. Some might refer to another chapter, or the same person from another chapter might refer to that. But
Hmm.
each one is separate and it can help you with a very specific situation. And I've got the book divided into sections. So there's strategic lessons, there's communication, people, founders, decision making, organizational lessons. You can find the stuff that you need, and then there's the part that you laminate, which is the summary chapter. Here's the 37 secrets in one chapter numbered. So
Great insight. Appreciate
yeah,
it. Well, yeah, I'm looking forward to covering your book in our monthly book review episode, which we are starting this year, first time this month,
oh,
and
that'd be great.
I'm looking forward to talking about it in detail. And for our audience to know, they can buy from Amazon
Yeah,
the
so
books.
actually
Hmm.
you can buy the ebook from Amazon. You can buy the paperback or the print book from any retailer. Uh, it's online everywhere because I go wide there, but you have to order it. They don't stock it in the stores unless
Hmm.
I go to the store and do a signing or something like that. I can convince them, but they can all order it. You can go to your local Barnes and Noble. You can go on to Walmart or Barnes and Noble or any place like that, and you can find it. Just search for for what every CEO must know, and then all my links are on my link tree. So people are familiar with Linktree, linktr.ee/beeline bill. That's BEELINE
Hmm.
and all my links are there to my books. I have a blog on TMCnet, um, which is all things CEO, goes back about 5 years. Um,
Wow.
Also, another irregular posting, but there's a lot of
Hmm.
stuff on there. I wrote a couple of series for, like Mindset Matters, This Matters, That Matters. There's a whole bunch of things on there from a few years ago still apply.
Hmm.
Um, all those things, leadership still apply. That's why I say CEOs will not be replaced by AI. You still need CEOs. So
Absolutely, absolutely.
the buck
Well,
stops here.
yes, yes, that's true. That's true. Um, well, we have a little tradition in the American Business Podcast. We have a question coming from our previous guest. And after
Okay.
I ask you this question, I'll ask you to leave me a question for our coming guest
Okay.
in the
Okay.
American Business Podcast. So the question coming from our previous guest is, I'll also spell out on the screen, how much solution to a problem you can manage and how much is out of your control in terms of percentage, you will say.
Well, that really depends on
The
that
problem,
really
right?
depends on the problem. So
Yes.
there are some times that it's 100% out of your control.
Mhm.
So all you can do is use my mentor's suggestion. If the solution's huge, break it down into small pieces and find out what can you control and make those decisions as fast as you can. That's your priority. And those outside your control, you have to make sure that you feed those the proper information, whether it's messaging, messages, That's the key. So you got to make sure that everything melts together, but it does vary. There's no set. I mean, some of your decisions are 100% under your control within your company, but
Hmm.
a lot of times it's the market or your competitor or the government, like a
Hmm.
tax changes or
Yeah,
law change.
regulations.
You
Hmm.
can't, when there's law changes, you can't. They're outside your control. You have to kind of figure out what that is. So the law might
Hmm.
drive it by 100%, but your solution is internal 100% to match it, right?
Hmm.
So it just varies. It's an interesting question, but
Yes.
there's no, there's no set answer for that one. It really depends
Yes.
on the
Yes,
situation.
absolutely. So, what question you would like to leave with me today for me to ask our
So,
coming guest?
so I will ask that guest to take a look at the biggest decision that they should be making that they're delaying and ask them to write down that decision or state it here and how are they going to address it to make at least a public statement and then be
Mhm.
accountable to go and make that decision because somebody is waiting for that decision. So
Yes.
it's about decisioning, and I know that everybody delays some decisions. What's the
Mhm.
most important decision, most impactful decision to your business that you can make today that you should not put off till tomorrow? State it, and how are you going to address it? And
Mhm.
then be accountable to do it next week. That's what
Okay,
I would.
I'll make sure to ask that question. I appreciate it. Well, in this episode, do you have any question that you would like to ask me?
So, yes, I got one. I've been thinking about it since we first
Okay, I'm
met
ready.
here. Okay. How are you guys in your company?
Mhm.
How are you addressing today's AI explosion?
Mhm.
Are you building it into the product? Are you using it in your processes? What are you doing?
Yes. Yeah, it's a great question. So, well, because we are a technology company, fundamentally, in my full time business, we always engage with AI tools, right? So what is out there, we always engage it, and we share our team members. They share their experience in the meetings. So we have firm-wide meetings, and then one of them always shares about, hey, this is the tool that I use this month. This is what I did. This is what I built. This is how it helps. And next month I'm gonna work on this one. So we keep like searching and experiencing and sharing that experience. And in terms of the software systems, we most of the time utilize what is available. So, for example, our CRM system that works with the ChatGPT, for example, in terms of utilizing the LLM and getting some ideas from AI-based content generation. So we are always like involved and trying to find out what is going on. And to your point, I think that was an important point that you made. A lot is going on. Like different products are coming up, starting here and there, today, tomorrow. There is a really huge traffic in terms of coming in, incoming traffic with the AI tools, and they're all doing different things. And you like to try those, right? So which one is doing what? And we try some of them. Also in the American Business Podcast, we do a lot of video. We don't edit videos, but we do a lot of segments. We create shorts. We right now we're doing international podcasting, for example. This all AI based with all lip synchronization. It changes the entire conversation into German, French,
Yeah.
Spanish. It's amazing. This is all AI. So we are involved in short, and we are experiencing. Not they are not all great, but some of them are really like improving their technologies and processes. So it is a work in progress, I must say.
Okay. Can I have one more?
Yes,
One
absolutely.
one more. Okay. For you, this is
Okay.
not about the company.
Okay.
You've been doing this for a little over 10 months or something like that now,
Yes.
your podcast.
Mhm.
What's the biggest surprise that it just blew your mind from any of your guests? Doesn't matter who.
Um, That's a great question because so this is our 127th episode. And I started to call the episode my school because I'm learning from you, from other guests. I mean, that's a great opportunity. And some things really, of course, surprising. So two things, I cannot say one thing, but two things. One is that everyone has a really different story personally, and that reflects on their professional lives. So you have no idea. I have no idea. We really don't know like what the other person's background is really. I mean, we always hear about this, but when I start really hearing really like the real life experiences from professionals in the American Business Podcast, it's really hit me, and I understood it better. And the second thing is the importance of family. We know that my family is also tied. We always I always understand the importance of family, but when I talk to professionals, like they always talk about their families, their fathers, their mothers, siblings, the interaction and the impact the family makes on an individual, and that reflects on the professional journey is unbelievable. And the importance of family, that I knew it, but I also experience it and see it and hear it and learn it from business professionals in the American Business Podcast is an amazing lesson for me.
That's awesome. All right.
Yeah. Yes.
Well,
And I'm writing a book about the podcast, by the way. Like the
oh, that's great.
conversations. Yeah. I mean, just
Yeah.
summarizing what we talk about in general, what is publicly available. But I'm summarizing it. So it's gonna be also available, I think, by the mid of this year.
Okay.
I'm trying to come up with a concept of linking it to summary of the conversation that we have, which is publicly available. Then also linking it to with a QR code to the video. So
Oh, that's
then
good. Yeah.
they can just read the summary and then they can just scan the QR code and then go to YouTube and then they can watch. So it's gonna be this is gonna be a record. I mean, this podcast is gonna be a record. So it's gonna stay. People can keep hearing, listening, and learning from the American Business Podcast. So it's a record-keeping business media. That's what we are becoming
Okay.
eventually.
Cool. All right, and I'll leave your
Yeah.
listeners with my signature and my email. It says practice
Yes.
safe, secure, and smart AI.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much. And yes, also let's have a separate conversation about your AI technology as well. I love to learn more
Okay.
about your
Sure thing.
technology. I'll send you an email. I have your email, so I'll definitely be in touch.
Okay.
Bill, thank you so much for your time in your busy schedule. Thank you for sharing your professional insights and professional wisdom with us.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much. To our audience and to our listeners, we'll be right back after a short break. Support for the American Business Podcast comes from Reddit. Do you know the biggest challenge nowadays for American small businesses? That is visibility. That's why we partner with Reddit for Business. Reddit has more than 400 million weekly visitors. Furthermore, Reddit is reliable. Reddit is the number one source for real reviews on products, services, and brands. There is a promotion going on. When you spend $500, you'll get $500 in ad credit from Reddit. True story. I am a Reddit user. Anytime I need feedback or review for a product or service, I go to Reddit. I get the real answers, real feedback from real people, from Reddit communities. Scan this QR code and sign up for Reddit advertising for your business. Get the visibility for your company, your products and services. Scan the QR code and sign up today. Thank you for your support. It is time to sign up for the online monthly networking event. Networking and podcasting together. It is called Connection America Business Alliance, partnered and powered by the American Business Podcast. During this unique business networking event, you'll be able to meet with other business professionals. At the same time, you will be in the American Business Podcast in front of thousands of business-minded YouTube subscribers, viewers, and listeners of the American Business Podcast, the voice of American business. Connection America online monthly networking events are interactive. You'll be able to meet with other seasoned business professionals, and at the same time, you'll be able to interact with viewers and audience. That's a unique event. It is because it's podcasting plus networking. If you are in business, you should be networking. And if you're not networking, you are losing business every single day. That is why we created online monthly networking event called Connection America Business Alliance, CABA in short. Scan this QR code and sign up today. When you scan the QR code, you'll see the list of coming monthly online networking events. Pick the one that works for you and sign up. We have limited seating, and today is the great day to sign up for online business networking event. Networking plus podcasting. That is a unique online business networking opportunity. You can introduce yourself, your products and services, and you'll be able to network with other business professionals live on the American Business Podcast. Scan the QR code and sign up today. I'm looking forward to seeing you there. Thank you for your support. Support for the American Business Podcast comes from Brother. From large companies to small offices, Brother has powerful printers and all-in-ones for your growing business. Scan the QR code and find the best printers for your needs. When you scan the QR code, you can see the entire collection, business office equipment collection of Brother USA, and pick the one that you like. You'll find printers, labels, toners, all-in-ones, and other office equipment available on Brother website when you scan the QR code. Scan the QR code and start shopping for Brother office equipment today. Thank you for your support. Support for the show comes from Yelp. You know, I've been talking to more than 100 business owners in the American Business Podcast. Do you know the biggest problem for small businesses nowadays? It is visibility. That is why you should sign up and list your business on Yelp for Business. I have the QR code on the screen, and when you scan the QR code, the form will show up on your screen and you can sign up on the registration form. It comes with free trial with no obligation. Make it easy for your customers to find you. Do you know there are more than 70 million customers visiting Yelp website looking for services from businesses just like yours? Restaurants, home services, professional services, and many other businesses are being searched on Yelp on daily basis. That's a great opportunity. If you list your business on Yelp, you'll be findable, searchable, and you'll be visible. When you are visible, when your customers are able to find you, you're in business. You can get opportunities, you can get leads, you can build a healthy and profitable pipeline. Consider Yelp for Business. Scan the QR code, sign up, and start your free trial. It comes with free trial. Very comfortable, no obligation. List your business and start getting the results and enjoy the benefits of Yelp Business. Thank you for your support. Thank you very much for being with me in the American Business Podcast. If you'd like to be a guest in the American Business Podcast, please send us an email. Guest booking at americanpodcast.tv. We'd love to hear from you. And if you are a business professional, you like to share your professional insight and professional wisdom with us, with our audience, please send us an email, guestbooking at americanpodcast.tv. If you like to sponsor, advertise your business, your company, products and services, please send us an email, grow your business at americanpodcast.tv. And please visit our website, americanpodcast.tv, to learn about the latest about the American Business Podcast and see our coming schedule. And send us an email if you like to start the conversation about business podcasting as a service powered by the American Business Podcast, to start your branded company podcast within the American Business Podcast Network, send us an email, please, paas@americanpodcast.tv. Thank you for your time, thank you for your interest, and thank you for your support in the American Business Podcast. I'm looking forward to seeing you come in the American Business Podcast episodes. Thank you very much.